I'm Dolly Ronnai, and I have a new book that's titled The Grammar of Restraint. And this book is about how we narrative, whether it's written or spoken or lived, has an underlying grammar to it. And the grammar is what makes sense of the narrative. The narrative has a certain number of qualities, like there are certain things that are presumed, like in our world, we're born, we live, then we die. And in a book, you have something similar where you have the two characters that start, they live through something, and then they're changed, and then they become different. They've grown, generally. And this is what grammar is. It's a way of taking a narrative and making sense of it by a structure. And the structure includes ethics. It's not ethics, but it includes ethics. And it includes beliefs and authority, things like that. And so this book, Grammar of Restraint, explores the idea using 4 of my books, which correspond to arcs. An arc of first something happens, and then you something happens, and you have to make sense of it, and and that usually works okay. But sometimes something happens that the grammar doesn't is outside the scope of the grammar, and it doesn't make sense. And so what this book talks about is what you do in that case. And what you do is you have you experience the event. It might be an inner voice comes to you, or something out of the ordinary happens, and so the mind wants to, and it's something that we can't understand with our current scope of belief. Like an inner voice is not supposed to be there, and there's things greater than that even. And so we have to. The mind will try to put it into a picture, like, well, that was from God, or that's a mental illness, or an authority where the king has spoken, or whatever. And so the mind tries to put that into a box it can understand based on past patterns. So then when something does happen, like I mentioned in my book, something happened to me, which I recorded in a particular book. And when something does happen, you don't want to come to collapse it into a doctrine. You want to try to understand what happened. And so this book goes into 4 arcs. There's 4 arcs of understanding, and in these 4 arcs, you don't try to come to a closure. You try to stay open. What happened? I heard this voice. What did it tell me? And then the first one is, okay, this happened. The second arc is, I'm going to explore what this might mean, because I couldn't close it. I couldn't put it into a pattern that fits with the grammar of the present world. And then the second arc you explore. The third arc you start trying to fit ideas together, and the fourth arc is you come to a understanding that you may or may not have figured out what this was all about, what these voices were, or whatever. But you've come to terms with it, and you have a pathway or some way of resolving it to move on and continue living within what may be what may require the grammatical structure of your living experience to change. It might not be adequate because our narrative that we live doesn't accept internal information generally. It doesn't accept that it's that this is something you're not supposed to hear, but people are hearing these things. So what do you do in that case? This book attacks that idea and tries to come to terms with it. It's called The Grammar of Restraint by Dolly Ronnai, and it's available on Amazon. It should be available on all medias now or soon. Thank you.